guys, Chenzo87 here with a breakdown of the Architect Cup released by the Silph Arena for the meta of July 2022, which is also the regionals meta. I do apologize for the lateness of this video. The bane of my content creator experience is, of course, the internet, and I have had some internet issues over the last couple of weeks, but they are all sorted, so I'm hoping to upload this as soon as possible. But what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the meta of the Architect Cup. We're going to look at the top 10 Pokemon presented to us by our Bible, PvPoke.com. And if you are looking for a full meta breakdown, you can always check out our mate PvPSteve, who does great videos every month about breakdown analysis of the meta. But today we are just simply going to look at the top 10 and the top 3 key losses to each Pokemon. Now, the Architect Cup is actually a really cool meta. It is very limited. There's, I believe, 41 Pokemon that you can pick from, and you can pick any of those 6. Don't have to go by a point system. Don't have to go by any sort of other restrictions other than no megas, of course. But you are allowed shadows, and you have to pick from the 41 Pokemon that are listed. So it's actually really cool when you think about it. It's very limited, but we are going to see a lot of the same sort of Pokemon pop up, which means we need to know what the counters are. So the top 10, according to PvPoke.com, is we're looking at number 1, which is Beware, which Beware is a very solid Pokemon. It did have a community day recently, and it got the move Drain Punch, which is terrible. So I've TM'd it straight off to go with the preferred Stomp and Superpower charge moves, which I think work better anyway. But it is the number 1 rated Pokemon on PvPoke.com. It is a normal type and a fighting type, so it doesn't have the same weaknesses that a normal type does, which is just fighting. It actually has a few more, but there are some Pokemon that easily beat it, and one being Palapa, being a flying type, definitely takes care of the fighters. Another one being Muck, being a poison type, it's going to resist the fighting damage, and Beedrill, which, again, being the bug type, resists most of Beware's attacks. So it's a very solid Pokemon to go with, does have its counters, but we look at the next Pokemon, which is Snorlax, which is always a very solid Pokemon. It's very thick. It's got access to Superpower. It's even got access to Earthquake. It does have Lick, which does really good things for its energy generation. Does have some losses, which is Shadow Beedrill. I'm thinking just with the damage output that it can do against Snorlax, the Shadow one is better than the regular one. Beware, again, Beware the Beware. I guess the Superpower is going to do a lot more damage, and having the normal typing, it's going to resist Lick anyway, so it's going to be a pretty solid Pokemon against Snorlax. Polywrath, which I'm not sure, I'm still tossing up if I'd run Counter on it or if I'd run Mudshot. I know Mudshot is a lot better, just to get to the charge moves, but I'm looking at Beware, I'm looking at Snorlax. I'm thinking maybe Counter might be a good option for Polywrath. Moving on, we've got Shadow Gyarados, which is flying and water type, double weak to electric, which I'm looking at the meta. Doesn't look like there's a lot of electrics out there. Muck, however, does have Thunder Punch, but it's not one of the top 3 counters. And we're looking at Trevenant, which does pretty well against it regardless. I mean, it's the grass ghost type, does pretty well against Shadow Gyarados, even though it does neutral damage with Seed Bomb. I think the Shadow Claws are just going to rip through Shadow Gyarados, so it's just going to keep adding up, and you're just going to spam the Seed Bombs. We've got Beware again, looking at a theme here, very solid, very solid. And we've got Celio, not Walrein, it's Celio, which has always been pretty good until Walrein got the Community Day moves, and then it sort of became an upgrade of Celio. But it has always been a solid Pokemon. It does have some pretty good moves with, I think it's got the Powdered Snow, which is a great fast move. So Shadow Gyarados got a couple of counters, which I'm looking at going, well, maybe I won't drop, maybe I won't run Shadow Gyarados, maybe I will. We'll think about it. Palapa. Now, Palapa being another flying water type, does have a double weakness to electric, which Muck, being its top counter, has access to Thunder Punch. We also have cast form in the normal form. It does have access to the Rock Weather Ball, which does hurt Palapa. And having said that, Pseudo Widow, even though counter is resisted by Palapa, it's got access to Rock Slide, which it is just going to keep spamming onto Palapa. That is a bit of a weird matchup, though, because Palapa can spam the Water Weather Balls, and obviously Pseudo Widow being a Rock type is weak to that. So I guess it comes down to shields. I guess it comes down to energy production and how late it is in the game. But that is a pretty good matchup. And Pseudo Widow looks like it's got the wood on Palapa. Next, we've got Gyarados. Normal Gyarados this time, which doesn't have the same sort of key losses that the Shadow one does. Shadow Beedrill does well against Gyarados. It does resist, though. It triple resists the Drill Run. So you're going to be spamming Beedrill's other moves onto it. Poison Sting is going to do significant damage, but I guess Gyarados can sort of take it because it doesn't have the Shadow debuff, I guess you'd call it, with the 20% reduction in defense. Laparous is always a solid Pokemon. It does neutral damage with the Ice Shards. The Surfs are going to add up. But it is a water type going against the water type, so they sort of do counter each other. Frostlass, however, has access to Avalanche, which does neutral damage to Gyarados. It also has access to Shadow Ball. So that's also a good matchup, but I think Frostlass just has the advantage over Gyarados, more so because it can get to Avalanche really quickly, and it can just spam neutral damage. Moving on is number 6 is Credilli, which I know a friend of mine, Spicy Dijon the Gin, would absolutely be loving this. It is a pretty solid pick. It's got the Grass Knot. It's also got the Stone Edge, which can take a lot of damage to the flying types as well as the water types. So it is a solid pick. However, it has that rock typing, which gives it a disadvantage, especially going against a couple of Pokemon with fighting moves. The top one being Beware. Surprise, surprise. The other one being Muck. And I think that's more because it's doing neutral damage because of the poison typing. Grass being weak to poison, but rock resisting poison. It's just going to keep spamming out that neutral damage. And we've got Skuntank as well, which same sort of thing. Skuntank, I think it's going to run the Flamethrower Crunch. The Crunch is going to add up. It's going to resist the Grass Knot, so the Credilli player is going to have to go for the Stone Edge straight onto the poison types, which, it does take a bit of energy, especially with the Bullet Seeds slowly adding up. But it gets there, and it's a pretty solid matchup for the poison types. Next is the baby version of Snorlax, which is Munchlax. Munchlax, of course, having that Lick, Drill Run, and Body Slam. So it gets the Body Slam pretty quickly. It gets the Drill Run? Bulldoze, sorry. Gets the Bulldoze pretty quickly. So it's going to spam out a lot of the fast moves. It is really tanky, and it is a really good alternative to Snorlax. If you want to be one of those players and run Munchlax and Snorlax, pretty sure you can, but you're going to be one of those players. So watch out for the Beware, because Beware is going to destroy the Snorlaxes and the Munchlaxes. Lapras is also going to do decent damage against it. It is going to resist the Bulldoze, being the water type. It will resist the ground type. So you're going to have to just spam out Body Slams against Lapras. We've also got Polywrath, again, going to be strong against these two. It's got the Dynamic Punch, I think, as its preferred charge move in this cup. So it's going to be pretty solid against all the normal types. I'm pretty sure it gets counter, unless I'm mistaken. So I'm thinking Polywrath is actually pretty decent Pokemon. We've got Beedrill, which is a great Pokemon. It does have access to Drill Run, but it does lose to flying types like Palapa. It is going to have a bit of trouble against Munchlax because that Bulldoze is going to do some pretty decent damage against the poison type. And we've got Laparous. Laparous, again, just a really solid Pokemon, very tanky. Does have access to Surf, which you can just spam out pretty quickly. If you want to run the Skull Bash, that's up to you. Boost its defense. If you want to run the Ice Beam, I think that's the preferred one anyway, because we've got a couple of flyers in this cup. But Lapras, always a pretty solid Pokemon. Then we've got Shadow Snorlax, which, again, does have the same key losses that the regular Snorlax does. It's just in a bit of a different order, I think. It's Beware is, of course, number one. Polywrath, and then Shadow Beedrill. The same sort of key losses. Of course, Beware is just better against the Shadow one. And finally, Golbat, which I actually thought was pretty cool that Golbat is up there as one of the top 10. It does have the poison typing, it's got the flying typing, it's got access to a couple of good moves, which can counter a couple of the meta, but it just loses to the ice types. It loses to Cast Form as well. Cast Form, I think if you need a good one, it's going to get to like level 40. So you're going to have to invest a lot into it. It's going to be pretty tanky, and it does spam out the Weather Ball Rock pretty quickly. So it's going to take care of that flying type. But that is the top 10. It could change as the month goes on, but that is what our Bible, PvPoke.com, is predicting as the top 10 going into this month's meta, which is also the regional meta that Silph has put out for the month. Good luck to everyone participating in the tournament this month, and of course regionals. I myself won't be. Didn't get an invite, but that's okay. I'm happy to help out and prepare people as much as I can. It is a great little cup. I hope people get involved, and good luck to everyone. That's the top 10. Could change. Keep an eye out. I'm Chenzo87. Good pogo to you.